Alright, I'm gonna give you some definitions. Okay, is everybody focused?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. I'm gonna give you some definitions first, or just one. A relation, actually two, is a set of ordered pairs. Okay, a set of ordered pairs, for example, it's, ordered pairs are like XY coordinates that you graph. That's what it's talking about. Okay. For a function, it's a set of ordered pairs where no x value repeats.
Where what?
No x value repeats.
It's an x value. Wait, I thought a function was.
It's the set. It's the x. You know those little boxes we made? And like it was like they had numbers.
When you have a coordinate, it's the x, y. X
Oh,
is the
okay.
first coordinate.
Oh.
So none of the first coordinates can repeat themselves. If they do, then it's not a function. So that's basically what we're looking at.
Oh, it's where it goes in a line, and if it's like not a line thing, then it's not a function.
Yes, so we'll do that too, yes.
Okay.
Okay, so what we're looking at on the first page, these are sets of ordered pairs. We have to say whether or not it's a function and then state the domain and range. Alright, does anybody remember what the domain and range are?
No.
I think I know what a range
Okay.
We
is.
haven't done that in a while.
The domain is the x coordinates, or the first one, you know that. And your range are your y coordinates.
Those are ingredients.
I'm gonna write these out, but you already have it on your paper, so you don't need to write this out. Alright, so on number one, our first question is it a function? Okay, so to determine that, we look at the domains, which is all of the x coordinates. So these are our x coordinates. Yes, that's right. Do any of those repeat?
Yes.
Yes. You have a 1 here and a 1 there. If any x value repeats, then it's not a function. So your first answer where it says function, you're going to put no. All the y values can be the same. That doesn't matter. It's only the x value that determines whether or not it's a function. Alright, then on the second blank, we're going to write the domain. Okay, so what is the domain for this? Yes.
So 1,
1.
-2, -1.
And if it repeats, you don't have to put it down twice. No. So it'd be 1, -2, and -1. Okay, that's your domain. So what is your range? Those are your y coordinates, so that would be
Negative
Two.
2, 0, 2, 3.
3.
very good. So that's how you're gonna do the first 6. On 5 and 6, they're giving you the coordinates, and we're gonna write down the ordered pairs. So is everybody clear on 1 through 4? You can all do that?
Yes.
Okay. So on 5, let's look at it. Okay, write each of the following as a relation. So they just want you to write the ordered pairs for the points that they've graphed. Then we're going to state the domain and range, and then we're going to say whether or not it's a function. Okay, so looking at 5, and it doesn't matter what order you put your ordered pairs in. I think it's easiest. How many points are graphed on number 5?
6.
6 points. If you either go from left to right or right to left, whatever's better for you. That way you don't leave anything out. So let's look at that first point that's in the bottom left. what's the coordinates to that point?
Negative 2, -2.
Negative 2, -2. Very good. Then move over to the next point, what would it be?
-1, -1? No, wait, -2, -1, 1.
Negative 1, 1.
Oh,
That's
where are you
right,
going
good.
to? Which one is that?
That's the one that's just up in the, on the left, but in the upper part.
And these will go on the relation line.
Yes. So these are relation. Okay, and then, I don't care, give me another point, what's
1,
another?
1.
1, 1. And another one,
3,
0,
0.
1, 0.
Wait, that was a 1,
3, 3.
Cause you go over 1, up 0. 0, 1 would be up.
3, 3.
Wait, so the X is first and the X is
3, 3.
and then on the line.
3, 3.
The X is 0. Oh, wait.
-2, 3.
Wait, I'm so confused.
Would be 3, -2.
Three, negative two.
Just rise from the origin.
Oh, okay.
It would be -2 over 3.
So when you're doing your points, okay, 1, 0, this is how many you go left or right, the first number. The second number tells you how many you go up or down.
Oh, okay.
So you went over 1, up 0. If you did 0, 1, that would be over 0, up 1, which would be right there.
Wait, I got it. I know what it's 3, -2, right?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I left off my negative there.
How did you get 3 with 2 with 3? What?
What?
This one right here is 3, -2.
Because if you look at quadrant 1 and quadrant 4, they have like 3.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Okay, we got it?
Yeah.
Okay, now let's list the domain.
-2. 3.
Well, I'm just gonna list them in order, or whatever I have, but -2, -1,
1,
1,
3.
3, and that's it, right? And then our range would be what?
-2, 1, 0, 3, and yeah, that's it.
And 3, yeah, so we already have -2. Okay? Now look at your points, remember what value are we looking at, the X or the Y? X, so look at all your X's. Do any of these repeat? Yes. So is it a function? No. So the last thing you say would be no. Okay.
Isn't it only the X that can't repeat?
Right.
Right.
Correct. Let's do number 6, just to make sure everybody's got the points thing down. Okay, so let's fill out the relation. Give me 1 point.
0, 1.
Okay, 0, 1, good. Over 0, up 1. What's another point?
2, -1.
2, -1. Good,
3, -2.
very good. There's one more.
0,
We got 0, 1.
2, 3. 2 and 3.
-2, 3. Okay. Alright, so if you have 4 points there, you should have 4 coordinates, which we do. Alright, so what is the domain?
0, 2, 3.
And the range?
1, -1, -2.
And is it a function?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, good. So that's what you're gonna do on 7 and 8 also, so flip over to that. Okay, then on the back, the next section says express, or relations expressed as mappings. Express the following relations as a mapping, state the domain and range, then determine if it's a function. Alright, so mapping is just another way of writing these coordinates.
What number is this?
This is number 9. Okay, it's referring it to as a mapping. So you're gonna make two categories, one for the domain and one for the range. It does not matter what order you put them in. So what is the domain for number 9? -2, 0, and 5. Good. And then you put like a little
Oh, yeah.
square or circle around them.
Oh, wait, what? -2, 0, and 5.
Yeah, we're making a map.
Oh,
It's
okay.
something where we did the one.
Yeah, we do the arrows.
Wait, why are we mapping? Is that?
Because it asks you to in the directions. You do it in that blank space.
I know we did this, but I was just writing them out. I wasn't doing the box thing.
Yeah, it says express them as a mapping, so we have to do that. Alright, so what is the range then?
-1, 3, 4, and 3. Oh wait, I've already 3.
Okay. Then you just draw arrows in between your coordinates. So I go back to the beginning, it's -2, -1. So you would draw an arrow from -2 to -1. 0, 3. Draw an arrow from 0 to 3. 5, 4. And then my last one is -2, 3. So draw an arrow from -2 to 3. Okay. If you label your domain and range up here in your mapping thing, you don't need to rewrite it again down where the domain and range are. So you can skip that part. Does everybody get that? Okay, so just label it domain and range in our map. And so skip the domain and range and just go to whether or not it's a function. So, is this a function?
No.
No. Okay, from a map, if you have any of these in the X that have 2 arrows coming off of them, that means that they are repeating this -2. So that would make it not a function. Okay, so that's just kind of more of a visual test, but you can look at the coordinates and see. It's the same rule. If any of X's repeat, then it's not a function. Has everybody got the mapping thing? Or do I need to do another one of those? Alright, last thing we need to talk about, I think, are the graphs. Okay, so let's look at those. Alright, so for this section, it says determine if the graph is a function, then state the domain and the range. Okay, so to see if a graph is a function, you have a visual test. I think you guys were talking about that. And it's called the vertical line test. So like on 13, I'll just kind of sketch it up here so we can take a look at it. It looks something like that. Alright, so you use your pencil to represent a vertical line. If I laid the pencil anywhere on this graph, is it ever going to cross at more than one place at a time?
No.
No. So if that's true, if it doesn't cross more than once, then it is a function. So 13, down where it says function, you would put yes. Okay, the kind of things that don't pass the vertical line test and are not functions would be like a circle. Okay, because if I drew a vertical line through that circle, how many places is it going to cross? 2. So that means those x values are the same. So it's just another way of telling you the x values are the same. So this one would be not a function. Okay. All right, so for the domain,
Is it the little points on it that we have to find? Like the ones that are covered?
yeah, but it's everything in between too. So when you have a line like this, we're going to do what's called interval notation. Yeah, it's not that bad. cause it's not just the points that they show on there, it's also all of these points in between. So looking at so for integral notation, for the domain, it's the x values. So look at the x-axis. What is the smallest value on the x-axis?
1.
Look at your graph. What's the smallest value that's graphed as part of the graph?
4.
One right here. What is this?
Negative 4.
I think it's negative. Wait, negative 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Negative 5?
Ours says 4.
No.
Oh, it's 5. It's 5, negative 5. I mean, negative 5.
I'm on
Are you
13. I'm on 13.
It's negative 5.
It's negative 5. Count over. But it's negative 5 because next to it's negative 6, negative 7, negative 8, negative 9, negative 10.
Oh, yeah, it says negative 5.
It's right here. It says negative 5.
And the where's the 20?
Can you see that?
Oh, where the
It's not,
dot is?
it's not where
Yes.
it crosses the line, it's where the dot is.
It's where the dot is.
Then it's 5 down.
This dot is the last point to the left. Okay, and its what would the coordinates to this point be?
Negative 5, 3.
Negative 5, 3. Alright, so my smallest x coordinate is going to be negative 5. Yes? Okay, then you look at the point, what's the very last point is over here. Okay, what is the x coordinate that goes with it?
7.
7. Okay, so 7 is your largest x coordinate. Okay, does it include the negative 5 and the 7? There's no open circles there, right? They're closed circles. Okay, so if it's a closed circle on your point, if it includes that point, you use a bracket. So we're making an interval. If it includes the point, you're going to use a bracket to enclose them. So the domain goes from negative 5 to 7, including negative 5 and 7. So it looks like that. If it was an open point, or if it didn't include those, instead of brackets, we use parentheses. But it's still a range of values. So what that says is that's from everything between negative 5 and 7, including negative 5 and 7.
What
Okay.
if they don't have points?
We'll talk about that here in a minute. That means it keeps going on. Alright, so range, let's look at that. So you want to find the lowest point. That'll be your smallest. Remember, range is the y-axis, or the y-points. Where's your lowest?
3. Negative 9.
Negative 9.
Oh.
All the way down here was our lowest point, wasn't it? Yes. So it's going to go from a negative 9. So what's your highest point on the 9? Okay, and it includes those points. So you put brackets.
And then you don't have to put anything else?
No.
Oh, wow.
And then we said, yes, it's a function, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's try another one here. Okay, look at 14. So does it pass the vertical line test?
No.
It does. There's enough of a curve, this is not like a horizontal line there. It curves like this and it keeps curving out. So it passes the vertical line test. That's a parabola. Have you guys dealt with those at all? Parabolas? Okay. They are functions, so you would say yes. Okay, so if I'm looking at the x coordinates, you see how it has those arrows at the end of the graph? Yes? Okay.
There's not dots? Sure.
There's no dots. It's supposed to be arrows.
Yeah, we don't see those. That would mean ongoing on.
On mine it has arrows.
Just because it started off or whatever.
Oh yeah, you're supposed to have them. Alright, so on 14 add arrows to the end of yours. Same thing on 15. and 16. Okay. So when it has arrows like that, that means there's no distinct points as starting and stopping point. So what point would be, or what is the furthest thing to the left that you can think of? Like not on here, but in
Infinity.
negative infinity.
Oh, I was actually right.
Yes. Alright, so if there's no distinct points, then it's going to go from a negative infinity to a positive infinity. And because that's not really a number, you always use parentheses on that.
Only
Don't.
on the ones with arrows.
Yes.
So everyone with arrows will be in infinity.
The domain. Now let's look at the range.
2.
So what's the lowest point on our graph? 2.
2.
And can we tell where it's going to stop?
No.
No. So
Infinity.
2 to infinity. Good. And it does include the 2, so you put a bracket on it.
Bracket.
Alright, let's do the next one. Actually, you can do that one. Let's do 16. Because 15 is going to be very similar to the one we just did. Alright, so for 16, it keeps going in both directions on the x-axis, so what would that be?
Infinity.
Okay, good. So from negative infinity to a positive infinity. Alright, so now look at the curve. Look at the up and down motion. What's the highest point on that graph? 1?
1.
What's the lowest point?
Negative
Negative
1.
So it's going to keep fluctuating between 1 and a negative 1. So you're going to be negative 1, 1, like that.
This is the sign.
Why
Alright.
is only the domain infinity?
Because on the x-axis, it's going to keep going. So when you get the domain, what you're looking at is this x-axis here. And on the x-axis, it has arrows, so it's like, okay, I don't know where it's going to stop as far as left and right motion. But up and down is our y-axis or our range. I can tell it goes between 2 distinct values there. Okay. Is that a function?
No.
Does it pass the vertical line test? Yes, it does. Okay, and then back on 17 and 18, let's do one of those. You have distinct points starting and stopping. So again, we'll have a range of values this time.
What number was it? 19?
I'm at 18. Let's do 18. Okay, so look at the x-axis. What's the smallest value? Where does it start?
6.
That's
Negative
Negative 6.
Okay, x-axis.
0.
Oh.
What's the smallest value here?
Negative 8.
0. This, what's the coordinates to this point up here?
0, 8.
Something.
0, 6, 17, looks like. Okay, so 0 is going to be your smallest x value, isn't it? Yes? What's going to be your largest x value?
6.
6. Okay, so the domain, you only care about the x values. It goes from 0 to 6 with brackets.
Wait, how is it 0? Like, because it doesn't need
Because it stops, this point is 0, 17, and that's the smallest point.
But it goes under. Like,
That's the y-axis. That's going to be your y coordinates. So for domain, you look left and right motion. So what's the furthest point to the left?
Oh, okay.
Okay. For range, I look at the up and down motion. So what's the lowest point?
Negative 6.
Negative 6 is our lowest point. Good. What's your highest point?
17.
17, right? Or whatever it is.
18.
18, it stops between 15 and 18. So I put 17, but I would accept anything.
It goes up higher than where it stops.
Oh, you're right, it is.
If that's not.
That's not what it was though.
We'll just do 18, it's fine. Alright, is that a function?
Yes.
Yes. Alright. Flip over to the back page. If you drew a vertical line through it, is it ever gonna cross through the graph more than once?
What about the line that's going down?
It's not a vertical, it's got a slight curve to it. Okay, let's do 19.
Wouldn't that one fail the vertical line test?
Yes. Alright, so look at the x-axis. Look at the left, right. What is the furthest point to the left?
-1.
-2.
-2.
Okay, and then what's gonna be the furthest point to the right? Infinity. How do I know it's infinity?
Because of the arrows.
Because of the arrows, good. Alright, now for range, we look up and down. So what's the lowest point on the graph? Or can I tell?
-1.
Negative infinity.
Negative
Why do you have
infinity.
a bracket on one side and a parenthesis on the other?
Because one stays on the thing and the other one doesn't.
This one cannot, you can't equal infinity, it's not a number. So infinities will always have parentheses.
You have to put a parenthesis in?
Yes.
No.
You only use brackets when it can actually equal it.
That's gotta be.
Okay, same thing, so it goes from negative infinity to positive infinity, because we can't tell how far up it's gonna go either. Does that pass the vertical line test?
No.
No. Alright, look at 20. I'll be done with talking about this here in a minute. Alright, so 20, look at the left and right. Can I tell what the largest value and smallest value is? No. Why can't I tell?
There's the arrow.
Because of the arrows. So this line is going to continue on for I don't know how long in that direction, and continue on in that direction. So it's, even though it's going up and down, it's also moving left and right. So the domain is going to be negative infinity to infinity. So it's also moving left and right and up and down with arrows. So what's the range going to be?
Negative infinity
Negative infinity
and infinity.
to infinity. Alright, does it pass the vertical line test?
Yes.
Yes.
Do you have to put the negative infinity first every time?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, you have to put this, it's a range from the smallest to the largest. Okay, pick one more that we'll do together and then I'll stop talking.
25.
25.
Okay.
23. 20.
25.
22 is a circle.
Yeah, it's literally, it's easy.
Yeah, but how do you know what the range of domain is? Exactly. There's no arrow.
You go to
Same
the
to do everything else.
edge of the
No
circle,
Guys.
edge of the circle, up and down, edge of the circle. So 25, let's do that, I guess. So on the x-axis, what's the domain?
What one?
25. Yes. See, it has these arrows on there. That means it's gonna keep going this way.
It's so easy.
It's gonna keep going that way.
We should have done 23.
So negative infinity to infinity.
23, that's easy.
So it's 25.
Okay. What's the range gonna be?
Negative 1, positive 1.
-1, +1. Very good. Brackets or parentheses? Brackets.
On the test, if it looks like you have parentheses, will that be counted off?
Yes.
Probably.
Is that a function?
Yeah.
No.
No.
Obviously not.
Okay. If you have more questions, of course, ask them, but give that a try. So finish that worksheet.